All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another lesson brought to you by me. We're going to be getting started. Today's going to be an introduction to obtaining your CDL. You're going to go over everything you need to know in order to get your CDL and the process you got to do to get started. So, first, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to go away from here real quick so that I can show you guys if you want to follow along. You go to my website, mycdlprep.com. You either log in or you join the training community. When you log in, you get to go to classroom right here. You got to go to introduction to obtaining your CDL. And then you got to go to CDL Permit Process. And you got to follow along these other steps that we are going to be discussing. Now let's go back to our little slideshow so you guys could follow along. Before you start CDL training, you got to make sure you have everything in line. Before you can begin hands-on CDL training or attend most trucking schools, you must first obtain your CDL's learner permit. This lesson will walk you through the process step by step so you know exactly what to expect and how to prepare. Okay, so this basically means that you need a permit. Just like when you get your regular driver's license, you got to take a written test that you go to the DMV and you go on their computer. It's going to be the same thing here for the semi trucks. You got to take a written exam to make sure you could. It's a knowledge test. They got a multiple depending on what you are going to do. To drive the big rig, an 18 wheeler, you need the regular, which is the general knowledge. You need the combination and air brakes. That's the minimum requirements. Now, if you want to get more endorsements like hazmat, passenger endorsement, that's extra testing that you would have to do. So, step one, you got to meet the basic requirements. Before applying for your CDL permit, make sure you meet basic requirements set by your state and federal regulations. You must be at least 18 years old, 21 for interstate driving. Okay, so what this means is that you have to be 18 years old to drive a truck inside of your state only. If you want to go outside of your state, that's what interstate driving means. You got to be 21 years or older. Now, if you want to start going to school before 21 to drive a truck outside of the state, you could do that. You could start learning at 18 in most states. You got to look at your state because every state has different regulations. You got to have a valid driver's license first. So before you decide to want to go drive a commercial vehicle, you got to have your local state's driver's license for regular vehicles. You got to have proof of identity and have proof of residency, and this varies by state. Requirements may vary by state. So please remember, always check your state, what the requirements are to get a license and your commercial license. Step two, you got to obtain your DOT medical card. This is very important. You got to make sure you're healthy. You must pass a physical exam conducted by a certified medical examiner. This exam includes vision, hearing, blood pressure, and overall physical health. Now, this is really important. I always talk about health because that's part of the reason why I stopped driving trucks. I was a driver. I was raised in Chicago, and when I started making money, I started eating everywhere because when I was younger, I didn't know about good food. We were poor. We had to eat what we had. So once you make money and you start driving this big old truck and you start seeing all these good restaurants, you start eating and you don't realize what you're doing. Nowadays, they teach this in school. Back then, they wouldn't teach all of this, not to eat like crazy. And you got to have health, good health. But make sure you take care of yourself. That's the best thing I could say from my personal experience. I wish I would have had someone. I remember in the school they teach you one little chapter about health, but they don't get into detail. They don't push it. That's why here I try to push it as the best I could about the importance of being healthy while you are on the road as a truck driver. I know when you go to the truck stops, the salads cost like 5 times more than a cheeseburger. The best thing you could do is try to go to Walmart or to your local grocery store once or twice, once every week or twice a month and try to fill up your truck with healthy stuff. Try to mix it in there. Try to walk and do exercise at the truck stops. Some of them have gyms. I remember the TAs, they had gyms in them or workout centers. I don't know if they still do because I haven't driven trucks in a few years, but that's the best thing to do. Or I heard a lot of trucks taking Ubers or seeing if they're local gyms or at malls, former malls, you could go work out and park your truck in their parking lot. So once again, the DOT card is really important. So because I remember when I was with Schneider during orientation, there they make you share rooms in the hotel when you arrive. And the first 2 or 3 days, they put everyone through this. And if you can't pass your physical DOT card and the physical that they give you on the spot when you get to your company, then they're not going to take you. They're going to send you home because yes, you have to pass a DOT physical by a certified DOT doctor or examiner at your local home area. But when you go to your trucking company, all of them do their own physicals. They got to redo it again. They want to make sure that their doctors, they have their own standards. You got to make sure that you pass their physical exam and their requirements. If you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer. Please ask me anything in the comments section. And I'd like to thank you for subscribing. Step 3, you got to register with the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse before you can begin working for a trucking company. And now required by many schools, you must register with the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. This is a federal database that tracks drug and alcohol testing violations for CDL drivers. It is very important. Employers cannot hire you without this registration. Many CDL schools now require this step early in the process. If you don't register, it can delay your job placement. What you need to do: create an account online. It's completely free. Provide your personal information. Give electronic consent for employers to run your record. Now, this is completely new. It's been out only for a few years. When I was a truck driver, they didn't have all of this. Everything was done um, just by the trucking companies. You go to a clinic, they send you, get your drug test done, and that was it. Now everything gets reported to the government. I'm going to show you here. We're going to exit these slides real quick. This is the website here. It's called clearinghouse.fmcsa.gov. So that's where you go to register. And you have to register. The earlier you do it, the smoother your process is when you go to school and when you get hired by a trucking company. Okay, now we're going to go back to our slides here. So that's what the clearinghouse is. It's basically an online database system that the government uses to keep track, which is actually good because before you couldn't keep track. If you failed a drug test at one company, you could go to another company and no one knew about it. Okay, step 4. Here's a recommend on the services I provide. So step 4, study for the written exams. You must prepare for the required written test. As I mentioned before, we provide the general knowledge, air brakes, and combination vehicles. Your goal is to consistently score 90% or more or higher before going to the DMV. So when you use the mycdlprep.com, make sure you are getting 90% or higher before you go try and take the real test. Because if not, you have a likeliness of not passing. When you get the 90% or higher, you're guaranteed to at least pass the test. The goal is to get the highest you could, but if you're trying to go through this quickly, which I don't recommend, always tell people take your time, make sure you're getting more than 90%, make sure you understand, that you don't memorize, so that way you can pass the test on your first try. Use these resources, lessons in this community. Make sure you study everything in order, all the practice tests and study guides and cheat sheets that I provide throughout the lessons. Step 5 is to visit the DMV. Once you're ready, it's time to visit the DMV to take your written exam. Schedule the appointment if required by your state. Most of the time, you can do this online now. You can schedule everything online. Bring all required documents. Take your written exams. If you pass, you will be issued your CDL learner's permit. You get it on the spot. Most of the times, they give you a paper now, then they mail you the actual permit through the mail. What you have to bring with you, it's very important that you bring your driver's license, proof of identity, proof of residency, DOT medical card, and any other documents required by your state. Okay? And once again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I respond really fast. I have a passion for this. I do the best to help you guys out. No question is a stupid question. Ask whatever you want, and I'll do my best to answer it. Like I always say, if I don't have the right answer, I do have a lot of contacts that I could call right away, and it might take a little longer for me to get back to you, but I could get you the right answer. Now, step 6 is the permit holding period. After receiving your CDL learner's permit, you must hold it for a minimum period before taking the skills test. Minimum holding period, usually 14 days, varies by state. So, once again, you got to look up your state to see how long you got to have the permit for before you're able to take your actual skills test and driving test. During this time, you can train with a qualified CDO holder. Use this time to practice, ask questions, and build your confidence behind the wheel. So after you get your CDL permit, you could always stay with us and ask questions and review the work because you're going to need it before you take the skills and everything. Now, why this step matters? It gives you time to gain real training and experience. It helps you become a safer, more confident driver. It prepares you for success on your skills test. Okay, so make sure you actually learn. Don't try to get in there, oh, let me get my CDL as quick as possible type thing. Take your time. Find good schools. Do not rush. Step 7, move on to CDL training. With your CDL learner's permit in hand, you can now take the next step towards becoming a professional truck driver. You can find a good school to enroll in. Enroll in a trucking school, begin hands on training, practice driving, and pre trip inspection. If you look at the mycdlprep.com, you could train for your pre trip also. There's a practice on there. You could also study on the group. We have a whole section of pre trip and details. We teach more than you should know when you go to the actual pre-trip. That's good because you never know what you're going to be asked. You're building real skills behind the wheel, experience, banking and maneuvering skills, safety and confidence on the road. Important reminder, getting a CDL permit is just the beginning. Many people rush this step, but your goal is to understand the material, build a strong foundation, and be confident before moving forward. Okay, that's why I always push that all the time. You're on your way to a new career. Completing these steps and putting in the work now will set you up for a successful and rewarding career in the trucking industry. Your action plan. You got to have an action plan that I'm helping you make. Complete all lessons and study material. Score 90% or higher on practice tests. Register with the FMCSA clearinghouse. Schedule your DMV appointment. Pass your written exams and get your CLP, Commercial Learner's Permit. Stay focused, stay consistent. Your future is worth it. We're here to help you every step of the way. Let's get to work. All right, before we close out, like I said before, any questions, no matter how stupid you think it is, send me a message. I will be happy to respond and help you out the best I could. Stay focused. Make sure you're reading everything and watching every video in the lessons. I also send out community messages when there are major updates. I like to make sure we have the latest of everything on our system to make sure you're learning the best of the best from the latest information. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. I'll see you on the next one.